Let's get to a quick update on the trade front, talking about the Blazers. So we're all waiting to see what happens with Jerami Grant. And he's been connected to the Lakers, and it sounds like as of now, we are in a holding pattern where the Blazers are not going to back down. This came from Anthony Irvin, I think it is, or Irwin, covers the Lakers. He's had a lot of these reports about their negotiations, and basically saying that Joe Cronin's not going to waffle on what he wants from L.A. So the Blazers are asking for, the Lakers have two first-round draft picks two tradable first-round draft picks. I believe they are in 2029 and 2031. And if the Blazers are going to make this trade to LA, they want both of those picks, and they will not accept anything less than both of those picks because Hachimura is going to be a part of the deal, but then you're going to have to add some other salary filler that you don't really want, nor do you really need in order to get this deal done. A Gabe Vincent, maybe D'Angelo Russell, I don't know who else, but you're going to have to package some money in this trade that does nothing to help Portland that they're then going to have to figure out how to flip because Lord knows, again, we don't need more guards. So more guards do not help us. So it's being reported that Cronin is saying, 29 and 31 first-round picks, and then you got a deal, and the Lakers have not met him at that asking price yet. This report, though, from Anthony Irwin came out, and it's a nice breath of fresh air. So, the book on Cronin was that he was helping these guys out and getting them to teams where they wanted to go, and I raised some issues with that. The Drew Holiday immediately going to Boston, could you have gotten more for Drew Holiday? I think it was a valid discussion, but this is from Irwin, who says Joe Cronin, quote, has developed a reputation as a strict negotiator who will not move off of his price. It's been evidenced by his standoff last summer with Pat Riley that eventually saw Damian Lillard go to the Milwaukee Bucks instead of the Miami Heat. So he's saying that this is the reputation of him around the league, that he's not going to back down. And I would argue that's probably the right move. As much as I want to see Jerami Grant dealt just to kind of turn that page and fresh start, youth movement, you need to lose as many games as you possibly can. Did people see the Cooper Flag highlights scrimmaging against Team USA this weekend? Can we please get the number one pick next year? Because I want to draft that guy. Like, you need to lose as many games as humanly possible next season. Jerami Grant helps you win games, so he shouldn't be on the team. That also being said, if they're just going to offer you a 2031 first-round pick, Gabe Vincent and Rui Hachimura, not a great return there. He's in the right to hold out for 2 first-round picks. And they have leverage here because the Lakers have had an embarrassing offseason where they whiffed on everybody in the trade market. They tried to go get Klay Thompson, couldn't get it done. The biggest attention getter they've had is Bronny, who's not going to play or be a part of their team really at all this year because he's a back-of-the-bench guy, 15th man on the roster. They need another piece if they want to compete in the West and try and capitalize on the final 2 years of LeBron's NBA window. And so you have all the time in the world to try and make this work, whether it's now or at the deadline. Don't back down, and I'm happy to at least see that Cronin is so far not doing that with the Lakers in this negotiation.
The beauty of those two are this Lakers team is going to be bad. Like, they don't have assets once LeBron does retire. Like, this isn't an NBA championship team, and LeBron's going to retire within the next 2, maybe 3 years if he wants to do a whole, like, Bryce gets in too, and it's him, Bryce, and Bronny. Yeah. Like, unless he decides that he wants to do that, he's going to be gone. By the time you hit 2029 and the other draft pick, those are going to be lottery picks.
I would hope so. It's the Lakers, so they can always turn it around, but that's the theory of if you get 29 and 31, they were bad after the Kobe days until LeBron kind of showed up and revitalized them. So they always have the ability to go land that guy in free agency because they're the Lakers, and so maybe it flips. But to your point, that's the hope. Those are the only tradable picks they have anyway, so it's not like you can even ask for a next year's pick. Like 29-31, you get 2 firsts for Jerami Grant. I think we'd all say that's a good deal. I take it. You give me Rui Hachimura. I don't care about the salary filler because they won't be here for long. A young guy who you can plug in a power forward and 2 first-round picks. Dude, make the deal. I'm all for it. But for 1 first-round pick, I'm out on that deal.
Well, it's beautiful. You end up putting your team in a position to build just like Presti did in OKC. Yeah. And look how that turned out. And, like, to be fair, they've gotten some luck, right? They got Chet to fall to them. Jay Will has turned into be an incredible player. SGA was a throwaway piece in a trade, and now he's an MVP candidate year in and year out. So there's still some luck involved, but you know how to build a winner in Portland. The model to build a championship team in the NBA isn't very hard, even in a small market. You have to go out and draft well and develop players. That's exactly what Denver did. That's exactly what Boston did. That's how you're going to have to win in the new CBA because you can't build these super teams anymore.
No.
So everyone knows how to do it. You just have to get the pieces and then have a little bit of luck go your way. And right now it feels like Cronin is trying to build a team and trying to acquire those assets to build that team. And everything that Danny tells me about him, and Danny is my Blazer expert, he is supposed to be this great scout, and he has a great scouting department around him. So you know what I want him to have? A buttload of picks. Get a bunch of picks, and let's just see what we can find. When the Seahawks were the best that they ever were, when they built the Legion of Boom, they just had 1,000 picks. And so let's just take 1,000 players, and eventually the law of big numbers will work in our favor. These guys will hit, and we'll turn into a championship team. And I know it's NFL to NBA, but to me, that feels like an amped comparison.
Yeah, I think you're hitting it on the head where you desperately need to find somebody in the next 2 or 3 drafts, and maybe the guy's already on the roster, but you need to find the guy that you want to build the team around.
Right.
And if he's not on the roster, then you desperately need to find him in the 25 draft. But then the theory is if you find that guy in next year's deep draft after this year of tanking, if you pull off a trade like this with all the other picks, I mean, I think you already have 2 first-round picks still in 2029. So if you get this one from the Lakers, that'd be 3 first-round picks again in that draft, more other future assets that you can part with. Then you can get into the point where there has never been, and a lot of people are making this argument, there has never been a team better equipped to build a dynasty than what the Oklahoma City Thunder have right now. Because they have one of the best players in the league, a guy who's going to be a perennial MVP candidate in SGA. And you have great pieces around him with an arsenal of draft picks to go make any move and go get any player that you basically want. And so they're set up for success for a very long time. That's the hope, is that you can find your guy and build your core before 29 comes around, which I know sounds crazy, but sometimes it takes you a while. You could whiff on these drafts, and look how long the Sixers trusted the process, and they made a lot of bad picks in that stretch. So maybe that's where you end up. But if you can find your guy before then, and then have all those picks to play with to go fill out the rest of your roster, that's when you're in a good spot. And to your point earlier, you hope that the Lakers hit the skids a little bit when LeBron retires, and they're kind of a play-in team, borderline 500, slightly above 500 right now. I don't see that changing drastically. Maybe Jerami Grant's a nice piece for them and they win a first-round series, but they're in desperation mode, and Cronin should continue to hold out here. I do want to see eventually Jerami Grant traded, just because I'm ready to kind of turn that page. Young team, give me all the youth, give me all the L's next year. But for 1 first-round pick and Rui Hachimura, not a great deal for Jerami Grant. So I'm glad that he's holding out, and we'll see if Pelinka blinks first in those negotiations, or if somebody else gets into the mix and wants Jerami Grant.